Hi everybody, Kirsty, Goddess of Neptune here. I hope you're doing well. Recording this message for you on Sunday, 21st of May, 2023. And earlier today, so for us in the UK, 8:10 a.m. GMT, British Standard Time, the sun moved into Gemini. So we are now in Gemini season, folks. And I just wanted to bring you this astrology overview based on the transits of that time, and I'll pull up the chart very shortly. But of course, we've also got Mars now in Leo. So there was something I wanted to mention about Mars that I was drawn to, specifically when I saw the chart against the UK chart as well. We know Jupiter's in Taurus now, and a couple of days ago, we had that new moon in Taurus. So the new lunar cycle of that new moon in Taurus, and then 2 days after, we're in a new zodiac season. So it's been a bit boom, you know, in that way. We know that we are being asked and being called for renewal. We're on this journey of transformation and healing. It's deep, it's intense, and it's just new start after new start, because we're always evolving through this process. And these astrological aspects, alignments are coming up to really help us move forward in terms of where we want to be, what we want to manifest for our reality, and how we're going to achieve it. Okay, and recognizing that we've just come out of Taurus season, literally today, this morning, and that was really heightening that emphasis on our worth and values. There's still a lot of energy in Taurus, so we've still got that as a footnote almost. Let's remember our worth and values and what we want to manifest for our reality based on that, making the changes that we need to in alignment with our divine soul's truth. I was going to say the two words together. I was going to blend soul and truth. So that could have been interesting. Anyway, and Mercury is no longer in retrograde, although post shadow, so maybe that's why there could be some sort of, you know, needing to get messages out, basically. So what I will do, I will pull up the chart now and show you what I was drawn to. And once again, I've got this fabulous, colourful depiction going on here. And for those of you not familiar with the reports I've done before, I do base this on the UK's natal chart to give some context of the planetary transits at that time. And the event, to use that term that I'm focusing on, is of course the moment that the sun moved into Gemini. So at the time I'm recording this, the degrees of other planets are going to be a bit different, but this was when the sun entered Gemini, and you can see at the top there, okay, in the 11th house for the UK, the sun 0 degrees, 0 minutes of Gemini. So 8:10 GMT, British Standard Time, on the 21st of May. And the UK's natal chart is the inner wheel, and the transits, of course, the outer wheel. So you may be thinking, what are those colourful lines? And this was really to draw attention to certain things that I noticed. And again, this is based on my interpretations of what I see when I look in an astrology chart. I find it fascinating, but recognize this may not resonate for you. This is based on collective energy within the UK, because I'm referencing the UK's natal chart. But of course, it may be relevant to you or resonate for you as part of the collective. Your personal chart is going to be different than this. And that's why astrology is fascinating, because we have that unique soul's blueprint. That's what I stand by in terms of the work that I do. You know, it's unlocking the key to the soul's blueprint. Anyhow, enough of that. Let's have a look at where the sun entered Gemini, the 11th house. So that house of connections with other people. The sun was there when it was in Taurus. And when I did the astrology report a couple of days ago for the new moon, both, you know, the sun and the moon in the 11th house, and they still are at this moment in time. So there is still emphasis on connections with other people, and where connections may need to change, because Uranus is there. Uranus is in Taurus, still sharing the 11th house, but we've got that mix of Taurus and Gemini for this particular 11th house. So there is that curiosity now, almost, with the sun being in Gemini and the moon being in Gemini also at this point. because, you know, Gemini, think of the two pillars, the two sides, maybe needing to look at things from two different perspectives in order to get that balance, but also the polarity is how they can work together. Notwithstanding that, there could just be that need for logic and clear thinking and clear expression, but also we want to avoid the overthinking. Of course, this is now air energy that we're in, but there is almost a curiosity to this. So bearing in mind, we've just come out of Taurus season, but we still have a lot of energy in Taurus. So that soul essence of the sun really reminding us at soul level, what do we need to change in accordance with our worth and values? And that will depend on how we view our worth and values. So we've had to kind of introspect on that as part of the healing journey to understand what is in alignment and what isn't in alignment anymore. Where do things need to change? And of course, I've mentioned it before, but this is the house of connections with other people. So connections with other people may need to evolve in some way, however that resonates for you, if it resonates at all. And there is that divine feminine essence nurturing us through that, because we have Juno and Vesta, and also in the UK's natal chart, we have Venus. So there is that nurturing to what's going on here in terms of what our soul essence is being called to address through the supporting energy of the soul essence of the cosmos, the sun, and how that impacts our feelings, or how our feelings and emotions may guide us in that way, because the moon's in Gemini also. So we may be kind of, okay, something's no longer in alignment with my worth and values. I've had to go on this journey of discovery, but now I'm thinking, is it this, is it that? And that could be that Gemini aspect of needing to look at something from both sides to truly discern and understand. That could be what it is, and have that clear thinking, that logical thinking. We need to feel as well, let's not forget that. But the energy is now air, so that's going to support us in communication. It's going to support us in our thoughts, and it's going to support us in our expression. Okay, clarity, truth, all of that. So that might just be where, you know, if some of you are not sure what your worth and values are, this could be that time of, well, I'm a bit curious about this. I need to investigate this. So, you know, take it as it resonates, of course. But we have the sun in Gemini. And as I mentioned, this was earlier this morning for us in the UK. So the degrees are going to be a bit different now on the other planets. However, when I draw your attention to the yellow line going across the middle, not very straight line, I must admit, but it should be straight because it's a direct opposition between Mars that we have here in the first house, but only just in Leo, and Pluto in the 7th house. Both 0 degrees at this point. Minutes are different, but both 0 degrees. So it's a direct opposition between Mars and Pluto. Mars being in the house of the self, and Pluto being in the house of relationships. So there could just be some challenging energy when it comes to that masculine drive within of having the courage to go after what we want based on who we are, who we view ourselves to be, and how we want to be seen. First house, Leo energy, and that drive to take action, because we know that we've needed to go through transformation, but it could be that there's certain things that have been coming up as part of the transformation that's been difficult, and that might just be challenging. So the relationship aspect of relationships with people, places, things, 7th house, is where Pluto is residing. So that opposition between, you know, deep transformation that's needed in relationships and having that empowerment within the self to move forward with that fire energy could just be a bit challenging at this moment in time. We also know that Venus is in Cancer and is 1 degree off an exact conjunction, still conjunct, but not exact, with Pluto in the 12th house. So the feminine may also be going through subconscious kind of wounds coming up to the surface, hidden wounds that are coming up, deep-rooted wounds that are coming up for transformation as well. And Mars had to go through that. So the masculine had to go through that. But with Mars now being in Leo, of course, that gives that almost, I want to say, it propels Mars into that fire energy of now being able to take action, because, you know, Mars has been nurtured with that Cancerian energy and is now for the UK in the first house. So, okay, this is about the self now. How do I propel myself forward and take action in accordance with my worth and values because of what's going on in Taurus, but also trying to maintain that balance with the feminine as well, because we need to be balanced. We're now in Gemini and we need to be balanced, look at both sides as well. But it may just be challenging what relationships we have with people, places, things, including our thought patterns, you know, because it could be that there's been a lot of negative self-talk. And with everything that we've been going through in Taurus, understanding our worth and values, we might have realized we've actually been talking to ourselves in a very unfriendly way. So that needs to be transformed. However, if that's what we've done for like all our life, and the masculine within us, you know, that drive to kind of make change and to have the courage to take action is like, no, empowerment of self, I've got to move forward, but there's a little bit of hesitancy because it's been difficult. That could explain challenging energy when it comes to transforming relationships with people, places, things, notwithstanding what's going on in the 11th house with connections with other people. So there may be particular emphasis on connections with other people, but it doesn't have to be limited to that. And I've said that before in a previous report. But this is particularly pertinent to mention because of the direct opposition. You know, Mars entering Leo and is now in the first house of the UK's chart, looking at these together, challenging that transformation that's needed. Okay, so we need to maintain the masculine drive forward. We need to maintain that empowerment of self, understand that the feminine within us can nurture us through this, but recognizing that that could be where there is some uncomfortable feeling coming up, if that relates to you. Okay, and I mentioned about Venus just then, of course, being in Cancer in the 12th house here, transiting through the 12th house. And we know that the UK's Venus is nurturing the change that's needed within connections with other people. And there is actually a square from Chiron in the 10th house to Venus in the 12th house. Okay, so that's that blue line there. So Chiron is in Aries in the 10th house of work and inner authority, and Venus being in the 12th house. So this might be where those wounds I mentioned that could be coming up, particularly regarding inner authority within the feminine aspect, feminine essence, being called for that transformation, okay, within the UK collective, but just, again, a bit of challenging energy going on there with that square. And, you know, the fire energy of Chiron, that sovereign self, you know, Chiron is there in Aries, sovereign self, and Chiron is 3 degrees away from the UK's natal sun. So, you know, our soul essence as a collective, as that sovereign being, may be being challenged because wounds are coming up that need to be addressed. And so whilst the feminine essence within us, because we have feminine, masculine within us, whilst the feminine essence is helping to nurture us through these changes, there could also be some deep-rooted stuff coming up, challenging our inner authority from the feminine's point of view. And hopefully that makes sense how I've explained it. And because we've got Jupiter also transiting through the 10th house, admittedly now in Taurus, but still in the 10th house, could be expanding that. So that's just something to be aware of. But we know that Jupiter can bring great hope as well. So this journey that we're on, we keep going, we maintain our sovereignty, we're getting through it. You know, there is hope to it all. But it just might explain the difficult energy if you're feeling any intensity at this moment in time. And that mentions about the square, but there is some positive aspects to look at here in terms of some trines that are going on. And certainly with Chiron that I've just mentioned, there is, interestingly, a trine from Chiron in the 10th house to Lilith in the 2nd house of worth and values. And Lilith is in Leo. Exact conjunction here same degrees as the UK's natal chart Neptune. So looking at that on the face of it, there could just be some illusionary stuff coming up, because Lilith can bring the shadow side up. There's light and dark to everything. Okay, that's life. And Neptune as a planet will have the light side and the shadow side. So because Lilith is exact conjunct Neptune, I would be interpreting this intuitively at the shadow side of Neptune. So deception, illusion, confusion, okay? And could be heightening, because both in Leo, when it comes to expression of self and being seen as our true self, certainly when it comes to our worth and values, we might have been deceiving ourselves because perhaps we've not had a very high opinion of ourselves. I mentioned about negative self-talk earlier. So that could just be heightening that. However, because there is a trine between Lilith and Chiron, this is part of our healing journey. So this is coming up to really test us, but in a way that's for our highest good. Even if it feels challenging, because Lilith is right on top of the UK's Neptune, this is coming up for a reason, because we've got to get rid of this self-deceptive talk that does create confusion. And with the moon there as well in the UK's natal chart second house, that can be, you know, self-critical, because the moon being in Virgo there. So there could be some self-criticism going on. Am I really worth that? Am I really worth that? And it is all part of this healing journey. So it's bearing in mind that this is all helping empower our sovereign self. And that's what that trine depicts in my view. We've also got a trine from Saturn in the 8th house of power to the south node in the 4th house of foundations. And the south node is in Scorpio, and Saturn is in Pisces. Saturn is in the house of the divine and has been calling for us to truly understand our lessons when it comes to our spiritual truth. So all of this transformation that Pluto's asking us to go through is not a game, you know, it's for our highest good, it's for our soul's evolution. And Saturn, being extremely powerful in the house of power, but also in the house of the divine, is truly saying, is that in alignment with your spiritual truth or not? And to understand that, we need to understand what our worth and values are, you know, because then we understand our soul truth, our core essence within. But this trine between Saturn and the south node, immediately when I saw that, I thought karma, because Saturn rules karma. Okay, there is a very structured approach to Saturn, of course, as well. But being in the house of the divine, being, you know, all these lessons going on and the transformation, but the trine here to the south node, I immediately link them together, karma. Karmic situations have been coming up either from this lifetime or past lifetimes. You know, certainly for me, a lot of past life stuff has been coming up for transmutation, but more importantly, acceptance. Okay. But the trine here, again, that's a positive aspect in astrology. So you might be thinking, well, why is that good if I'm getting all these karmic lessons? Well, because we're learning from them. It's like the healing journey with the shadow stuff coming up. We're learning from all of this and we're becoming stronger. So we're becoming more empowered within our soul, within our divinity, and we're becoming more of that warrior spirit within. And we actually are that, but we're just taking off the layers of gunk from conditioning and programming that's been applied over the years. So this is rediscovery almost about who we are, what we stand for, what are our worth and values. You know, we're having to go through all this for a reason. And now being in Gemini season, okay, maybe needing to look at something from two sides, or being curious enough to investigate past life stuff, because that can be intense going into that world. And it can be scary for some people. But this is where the karmic stuff coming up, karmic lessons in that way, because of the trine between South Node and Saturn, the karmic lessons are serving a purpose at this moment in time, even if it doesn't feel like it in the moment, serving a significant purpose for us in this moment, in this lifetime. This is clearing out karma, again, either from this life or past lives, to move forward. Some cases, breaking generational trauma patterns, trauma bonds, curses, all of that. Okay. And recognizing that this is to do with our foundations, fourth house, and our power. So it's empowering us to go through these karmic lessons, or to certainly have visibility of what those karmic lessons have been, because perhaps on this journey of rediscovery, with everything going on in the ninth house, where there is a lot of Pisces energy here, that kind of journey of discovery, of learning more about oneself, and now Gemini kind of like, right, I've got to get clarity here. That can also be uncomfortable, but this is showing that it's working in our favor, because it's enabling us to break through those barriers, metaphorically speaking, and to understand these karmic lessons and why they've served a purpose in such a way. And then the wisdom that comes from that is extremely powerful, because that is going to help guide other people forward. Because once we can understand why certain things needed to happen, either this lifetime, previous lifetimes, however it resonates, once we have that understanding and we have that clarity, and we know we're in check with our divine alignment, our soul's truth, our worth and values, we can become more empowered as a sovereign being. And we can shine our light even brighter, because we have that wisdom that we're going to carry within our wisdom bank, as I like to refer to it, and move forward, recognizing that we've learned those lessons, so we're not going to repeat them. And that's all part of the ascension process as well. So it's a really powerful time. And there's another trine going on between the Sun and Ceres. So, you know, Ceres is in the third house of expression and communication, and the Sun being in the 11th house. So us feeling able to expand our expression where we need to, where connections need to evolve as a result of all of this, because we've gained that wisdom. It's just watching out for that opposition energy between Mars in Leo and Pluto in Aquarius, because we want to feel liberated in our transformation, but we also want to feel empowered in our transformation and going after what we want. But there just may be a butting of heads between that energy, because it could be bringing up a lot of stuff, especially with the karmic lessons that we've really got to filter through. But Mars in Leo, you know, that lion within, that courage within, and in the house of the self for this chart, you know, empowerment of self. And we know the first house is traditionally Aries ruled, so that's also fire energy, you know, it is the house of the self. And we want to be that warrior to move forward and be strong in our life. But we have to be, you know, recognizing that karmic lessons have come up to allow us to get stronger, to allow us to evolve. And that's why it's all been for our highest good. And whilst we can nurture ourselves through, there's also that recognition that a lot of stuff coming up, if it is karmic, from this lifetime or past lifetimes, that can take a while to process, because we have to accept where that's come from and to realize the lesson, to realize the wisdom from that, so we can carry that forward and apply it in our lives. So there you are. I'm going to stop sharing. And you'll see that it's quite light behind, because the sun is shining brightly today here in the UK, certainly where I am. And you can't see it, but there is like a butterfly hanging there. But you can't see it in full because the light is shining. But you can see some headphones probably here on my desk. And initially, when I was just, you know, getting everything set up, and I noticed that, and I thought, maybe we need to be listening to something, but it felt more like we need to be listening to ourselves. Of course, we have that connection with the divine and source energy. So we are receiving insight, if we're open to it, from the divine, you know, with source energy, with our guides and our angels, but ultimately our higher self. So we need to listen to our higher self to also help guide us forward. And that comes through, you know, via our intuition, so our feelings, and then we can apply that Gemini energy and be a bit more logical in our approach moving forward. But there's such a lot going on in terms of our sovereignty that we need to feel empowered with that because of how far we've come. And I said that the other day, be proud of yourself. So there is a need to be proud of how far we've got to, because understanding our worth and values is one thing, okay? But when there's been a lot of stuff coming at us as part of the transformation journey, as part of the healing journey, that can feel like we're in the middle of a tornado, because everything is coming at us and we've got to try and process it. But acceptance of that is the first stepping stone, if you like, because when we can understand, that's why I'm being shown that, or that's why I feel like that, it relates to this, it relates to that. And I can carry the wisdom from that because I learned this from that particular event, or I learned this from that particular person. I can offer gratitude because I've gained that wisdom from whatever it was or whoever it was. And now I can move forward, feeling more empowered and having the courage then to move forward, which is what Mars is calling for us to do at this moment in time. For the UK's natal chart, particularly in the house of the self, you know, that courage to propel us forward. Propel seems to be a key word because I keep coming back to that. But we also need to appreciate that in order for us to have the courage to move forward as that sovereign self, we need to know who we are. We need to own that. We need to understand our worth and values, make the changes that we need to make, or at least have that awareness of what changes need to be made, because then we are still understanding the lesson from that, and recognize that the transformation takes as long as it takes. But if we're putting the intentions in to make that transformation, then Pluto's going to be happy with us and Saturn's also going to be happy with us. So just wanted to kind of bring that to you today, and happy Gemini season to you. And of course, happy birthday to Geminis out there. I will just take a couple of cards just to round it off. So first of all, I'm going to use the Star Codes Oracle, okay, just to see if we've got any additional messages. And remember, it may just feel like there's a lot of newness in the air, that things are afoot, if you like, and not as in afoot, literally, it's a British saying, that things are going on, you know, that's what it means, things are going on. Change is definitely there and has been a theme for a long time, but having a new moon in Taurus, and then a couple of days after, a few days after, having, you know, the sun moving into Gemini, so completely different zodiac season. Remember, it's all happening for us, but things are afoot, things are happening, change is happening, and it's better for us to work with the change than to be resistant towards it. Okay, let's see with the Astro Codes deck what we have. Additional messages, please. Additional messages, please. That one jumped. Oh, okay, Vesta, the hearth. So the sacred flame energy. So Goddess Bridget energy. Okay, so what lights you up? This is where that inner fire comes from. So I mentioned about Mars being in Leo and wanting to propel us forward. Well, to propel us forward, we have to have that drive within us. We have to have that courage, and ultimately to know what we want, what lights us up, what sparks that flame within us, what sparks that passion within us, what sparks that creativity within us, what do we enjoy, what's passionate to us. So this is about understanding the energy of Vesta in order to help us with our sovereignty, because that's certainly the sacred flame energy. And also because I always associate it with Goddess Bridget, Saint Bridget, that's also about new beginnings, because Saint Bridget stands for Imbolc. And I know we're past that now, but the sense of new beginnings, I was just saying, we've had like bam, bam, you know, new moon, and then we've got new zodiac season within a couple of days of each other. So change, newness, renewal, rebirth energy, which is all part of that transformation as well. See, do we have anything else, please, on the Astro Codes deck? Right, well, we've got 5 that are in reverse, all of them. So we've got the 9th house in reverse. We've got Jupiter in reverse. We've got the 10th house in reverse. And that's where Jupiter is for the UK's chart, interestingly, in the 10th house of inner authority. We've got Aries, some Aries energy is also in the 10th house for the UK's chart. That's in reverse. And we've got Scorpio. That's that deep transformation. So this is about empowerment of self, Aries energy. We need to empower ourselves to move forward. We need to not resist transformation with that Scorpio energy, Pluto. And we need to recognize that expansion with Jupiter comes from what we've learned, what we've discovered about ourselves, and how we want to move forward regarding that, certainly in terms of what lights us up. That's self-discovery, you know, our beliefs in relation to that, and also our inner authority. So we can expand that energy once we understand what it is, and then they can be like that, you see. And on the bottom, we have in the upright North Node. So understanding our purpose here, and that there is a bigger picture going on, and that's why there's change in the air, because there is a bigger picture going on from the universe perspective. There is a bigger picture going on, and understanding where your North Node is and any other alignments to that, relating to your purpose, relating to your true north. So I wanted to say relating then, which isn't even a word, is it? So very bizarre, but relating to your true north, you know, the direction that you're going in this lifetime, and understanding what that means to you. But look underneath that. Underneath that is Pluto in reverse. We need to not have Pluto in reverse, because that would symbolize to me resistance to the transformation that's needed. The purpose is on top of that. So in order to understand what we're doing, we've got to embrace that transformation. We've got to embrace that transformation energy that's coming up for our attention. I will take a Moonology card because we've just had that new moon. Okay, so let's see what the Moonology deck. This is the original Moonology deck. And let's just see if we've got any additional messages. But we can expand our authority. We can expand the discovery of ourselves once we understand what lights us up. What is our soul essence? What are we being guided towards? Yeah, I just said, didn't I, about a bigger picture. This is Sagittarius energy. It is new moon energy. It's in the reverse. And it says luck is on your side, but it's in reverse. So that's not saying, because being an intuitive reader, it's not just literally what it says, looking at it in reverse and saying, well, luck's not on your side then, because that's negative. That's a negative approach to things. So perhaps you're feeling that, maybe you're feeling, and this could be part of that negative self-talk that I mentioned just now. So if you're telling yourself that you're not going to win at something, then you're probably not going to, because the universe will respond to how you're talking to yourself. Remember that. Words are powerful, thoughts are powerful. So we need to turn that round and actually believe that luck is on our side, okay? And to understand that bigger picture, because Sagittarius is actually, you know, Jupiter energy. It's expansive energy. It's also exploration and discovery. So what I was just saying about discovering what lights you up, discovering ourselves more and expanding in that way enables you to then be fortunate in terms of your path, because you're then in alignment with your path. Okay, hopefully that makes sense. I'm getting a bit tongue-tied. So there may just be some communication issues out there in the collective, or even just within myself. You know, I'll embrace that if I need to address it. But there we go, on the bottom, work through your fears. And that's also new moon energy, but that is Scorpio. So that's Pluto energy. It's deep energy. So when it says work through your fears, that's not surface level fears. That's deep fears. That's deep rooted subconscious stuff coming up to the surface, you know, to be healed, to be transformed, but to be accepted, first of all, not to be pushed down, because what's that going to do? It's going to make us feel more like that, isn't it? When we can accept it, we're going to feel stronger. We can be more in that power. Shooting the arrow to what we want, that target, what we're aiming for in our life, relating back to our North Node, our purpose, you know, the truth, shooting that arrow towards that purpose, and ultimately achieving what our soul set out to achieve in this lifetime. Let's just get a few tarot cards from the Gilded Tarot Royale. Okay. Okay, what else do we have? Oh, okay, what else do we have, please, for the collective? I will do a separate tarot reading as well, because not everybody likes the astrology side of it. You've got Six of Cups, so that could be a past life soulmate. So that karma, what's coming up, karmic lessons could be relating to this. And transformation is part of that, because there is a butterfly. That one showed itself to me just now, so it definitely wanted to come out. Four of Cups. Do I accept this gift of the divine or don't I? Am I really bothered? Don't know. So this is understanding, again, your emotional fulfillment. And are you going to accept the opportunity that the divine wants to present to you by embracing this transformation? You know, the karmic rewards. Saturn is all about, you know, delivering the karmic rewards. It's karmic returns, but karmic rewards for all of this that we're going through, getting into alignment with our spiritual truth. He's in the house of the divine. So what is in alignment with our souls? This also showed itself to me. And that's interesting, because those two, when I split the deck just now, were facing each other. So this is about being trapped by fear and overthinking, and therefore not really being able to see this cup of opportunity of emotional fulfillment from the divine. Okay, what's the advice, please? Ace of Swords in reverse, right? So this is about speaking your truth, and whoa, okay, the Tower in reverse. There we go, that's the hidden energy. So you need to get clarity. So this is where the Gemini energy could potentially help you. Now we're in Gemini season, but there needs to be some truth. And it could just be telling the truth to yourself about what it is you want, and also where things need to change. The truth, clarity, communicating that, expressing that. And the Tower in reverse is resisting change. Recognize that Tower moments happen for us, and they come in because the foundation that we think is stable is actually not. So it has to crumble. And this is going on. There's many Tower moments going on amongst the collective at the moment. Things are changing, things are shifting big time. This is Pluto energy. It's scorpionic energy. The Tower is in reverse. Underneath that, Knight of Swords. Okay. Knight of Swords is the fastest knight in the deck, in reverse. Slow movement, stagnancy. So there's stagnancy towards what you might want to achieve because of resistance of change. That's where the clarity is needed. Stop the overthinking. This is fear and illusionary, being trapped by the thoughts, and therefore not really being able to see or, you know, notice or even desire the cup of emotional fulfillment that the divine wants to offer, or perhaps somebody else wants to offer to you, because she's got a blindfold on there. So can you really see that potentially you've got some emotional fulfillment coming in? Where do you need to tell yourself the truth? And where do you need to accept the change that's needed? Could be relating to a past life soulmate. And this could simply be saying, don't be too nostalgic, hanging on to pain of the past. We need to move forward in terms of emotional fulfillment in the present. take the wisdom from that, of course, as I was mentioning, this is all part of the karmic lessons, but moving forward, if it is a past life soulmate, perhaps the past life soulmate has reappeared in this lifetime and wants to offer you something that's going to make you happy, whatever it might be, an opportunity, a relationship, whatever it might be, but it's a cup of emotional fulfillment, of happiness. And if they want to offer you that and you're trapped in that, then what's going to happen there? You might miss an opportunity. That's where you have to be truthful with yourself. Okay, that's the advice. So clarity is needed, truth is needed, and I feel that it's about us talking to ourselves, having that reality check and actually saying, okay, what's going on here? What am I still holding on to that I need to release? What do I need to transform? Where do I need to feel empowered? What's my worth and values? Are those connections in alignment for me? Are they not? Am I talking to myself negatively and that needs to stop? Tell yourself the truth. And that's going to allow that blindfold, which is a metaphorical one because it's all illusionary. It's from overthinking, but it will allow that metaphorical blindfold to fall away. You can then reach your hand out to that cup that a potential past life soulmate wants to offer you. And that's going to lead to emotional fulfillment. But we know that change is on top of stagnancy, not allowing the celebratory energy to come in at this moment in time. And wow, underneath that, there you go. So it could be your 10 of cups, but there is resistance to change. Very interesting. Right. I'll leave it there. As I said, I'm going to do a separate tarot reading because some people just prefer the tarot. And remember that, you know, tarot is based on collective energy. It's not going to resonate for everybody. Take what resonates, even if it's a small bit of it, and leave what doesn't. Might not even resonate with you at all, and that's fine. There's a lot of people in the collective, so yeah, it's not going to resonate with everybody, but you know, if there's some little message that's going to help you in some way, it's going to help that empowerment, then yeah, I've done my job as a light worker, absolutely. And certainly for the astrology, you know, I'm mentioning my intuitive interpretations based on the transits and to give context using the UK's natal chart. So again, if anybody's watching from a different country, they might not resonate with it as much because the house system is going to be different for their country, you know, for their country's natal chart. However, it may resonate. So again, if there's any messages that's going to help empower us forward, because we all need to feel empowered to move forward and shine our lights bright, then that's the main thing. So I'm sending you love and blessings. Happy Gemini season, and I'll see you on the next report. Take care, everybody.